Hello. My intermediate family. This is the last class, and I'm not gonna say I'm getting emotional because I feel like I've been emotional for like the past 4 days or something. So I've been emotional. I'm grateful for the opportunity to teach you guys, and it just really warms me at a soul level to hear that, the methods I've taught and the concepts I've taught have really manifested tangibly in the progression of your tarot reading skills. Um, I don't know, that just really humbles me and makes me feel like when I die, a part of me will still live on in the memories of the people I teach. So, anyway, thank you for being here with me. And I'm emotional, so I'm a Gemini, so I'm like, I hate talking about my feelings, but like, I love y'all so much. And, don't tell anybody, but like, low key, my intermediate class is my favorite class to teach. Like, my beginner class is fun, definitely, but my intermediate, I felt very understood, very seen, and I hope you guys did too. We can talk about big spiritual concepts without feeling like nutcases, etc., etc. So, anyway, I just wanted to start by saying thank you for the opportunity to teach you. Thank you for being so receptive to my methods. And why am I out of focus? Thank you for being so receptive to my message in general, for practicing and really being dedicated to consistent effort throughout the class, because I can really see it in your growth how much effort you guys have really put into this. So, thank you. I see it, I feel it. I can't believe this is over. But yeah, it's not though. It's not, because you're only going to continue growing and growing and growing and really harnessing, I guess, the energies and becoming your own, you know, guru type thing. So, anyway, I'm excited to watch you guys really bloom into your full potential. I feel like I'm not even at my full potential yet. So, let's all just keep growing. What did you say? Let me see. Love you and thank you too. Oh, girl, I love you too. Um, Alrighty, so without further ado, we're going to talk about reading fluently today. So again, as always, I'm gonna look off to the side just because I'm reading from my notes. Um, the aim of this course is to help you connect to the cards no matter what order they land in. I know some readers struggle to make it make sense, but I hope through this class we can fix some of those issues. Um, I made a point in like bold, so I'm gonna read it directly and then I'll expand on it. And it's something that I mentioned since like the first class, so I have to reiterate it and like drill it into your hearts, into your heads, into your souls. The tarot is something you feel, not something you understand. The best way to connect to the cards as a whole is to pay attention to how you feel. Are you anxious? If you're anxious, then your client is probably anticipating a certain answer, or or they're expecting a negative answer and they're already preparing for it, and they're like, oh my god, this is what I don't want to hear, etc., etc. Or resisting change. Um, these sensations are not usually loud but very subtle. This is why meditation is a requirement before every reading. Ground yourself into a 0 point so you have a relative point to measure against. So, I do have an example to expand on that, and it came from a book called Conversations with God. I believe it was in book 1 by Neil Donald Walsh, which I really recommend to really every human being on earth. So go ahead and grab the book if it calls to you. I don't know that it'll help you with tarot specifically, but it'll help you with life. So there's that. One of the examples in the book that really stood out to me was an example of a candle burning on the sun. So the candle burning on the sun was like, I mean, I guess I'm important to the overall light that the sun is giving, but I don't feel important because I don't see myself as important. Like, I don't, there's bigger flames than me, there's a huge collective light, and I'm just one tiny speck, and I don't feel like knowledge, etc., etc. So then the candle is like, God, like, send me where I can burn to my fullest potential. Then God sends the little candle to the dark. And the candle at first is like, wow, like I'm really shining. I understand it. Like I can measure the heat that I'm giving off. Like I get it. But after a while, it knows it doesn't belong there and it's shook. It's like, God, you've forsaken me. You left me out in the cold. It's dark. I don't have anyone like me to talk to. And God is like, you said you couldn't just take my word for it when I said that you were important and when I told you what you were. Because of that, because you couldn't accept the truth as absolute, as non-arguable, as certain, you asked me to experience your truth by taking you somewhere relative, by showing you what you're not first, so that you could really understand the scope and the impact of what you are versus what you're not. So that's what it's saying. The truth is absolute versus relative. Meditation helps you understand your center so that you can measure the relativity of the truth. So with your client, you can measure, okay, is this resonating? Am I feeling anxious because I'm scared, or am I feeling anxious just because my client is expecting or fearing a certain answer from the tarot? And that one happens a lot in love readings. Like they always ask, is it worth trying again with this person? And they freak out as you're pulling the cards. You know what I mean? So again, that relativity point to measure against, you really, really need that. Anyway, that's what I wanted to, reiterate. Um, Meditation. Meditate, 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 meditate so you have a relative point. Um, Storytelling. Tarot readers are storytellers, period. Tarot readers understand the human experience, human psychology, human sociology, spiritual truths, and methods to enlightenment found in all religions. Um, all religions, all of spiritism has some truth to it, but no one single one has all of the truth in it. So it's important, I wouldn't say to familiarize yourself with different religions as much as to familiarize yourselves with the universal truths which can always be found in nature. The most inherent important cyclical laws of spiritism can be found in nature, in the way the seasons change, in the elements, in your basic survival needs, etc., etc. So just be mindful of those things because they all carry truth within them. I can't tell you the amount of times I've had an epiphany just because I saw like a leaf falling from a tree and I was like, I get it now. I'm that leaf, or I'm the tree, etc., etc. Anyway, tarot readers are storytellers, and we tell the story of the tarot, which is the story of our very existence. The trick is to see yourself in every card and in every subsequent card. What I mean is, how does a person go from a Fool to the Strength card? So if the first couple cards come out in a spread and it's the Fool and the Strength card, how does a person go from the Fool to the Strength? You know what I mean? Like, when's the last time, that you had to be the Fool and, jump right into Strength, skipping 2, 3, 4? What was the situation? How did you overcome it? Was it about overcoming, or was it just about knowing? So that's what I mean. That's how you can start connecting the cards, by understanding the story, understanding the emotional process, and seeing yourself as the Fool, and how or why you need to get to the Strength card. What is the situation here that I needed to draw strength from within, or to exercise physical strength? Like, I couldn't just keep pretending like the Fool that everything was fine. I finally had to be like, enough, don't disrespect me. Yeah, that's what I mean by we are storytellers of the human existence, because we've all been every single card in the tarot. Like, And we've been every combination of the cards in the tarot. And if we haven't, personally, we've seen it on TV, we've read it in books, it's happened to our parents, our friends. Either way, there is nothing in the tarot that is unfamiliar to us. We know it all, and at a very deep level, too. Um, let's see. When is the last time that energy presented itself in your life? Yeah, so from going full to strength, when's the last time that that happened to you? Create a story to answer the original question. The tarot will answer the most pressing worry or doubt before anything else. The first few cards that fall will provide the overall themes applicable to the question. The subsequent cards fill in the details for you. It helps to think of individual cards as sentences and the spread making up the whole paragraph to answer the original question. It is perfectly acceptable to pull from your own experience to fill in the details. Um, so again, this is about reading fluently, just being able to intuitively pick up on the feeling that it gives you. Because if we go back to the example of the Fool and the Strength card, those can be two very different feelings. It could be, I'm fooling myself, um, and I need to stop being so naive, and I have to start, exercising my autonomy, my authority. I have to be decisive and stop thinking that things are just going to turn out okay. Like I have to make them be okay. Or it could be, um, I wouldn't say the total opposite, but like a completely unrelated feeling of, not naivety as much as, I guess, unwillingness to be forthright and be, I guess, aggressive. I don't, not aggressive, but you know what I mean, like abrasive, really autonomous. It might be about just drawing strength within and just assuming the best. So it doesn't always necessarily have to be external. Sometimes it can be internal. And the only way that you're going to figure out which way is going to resonate more is by sitting there and feeling the spread, sitting there and really understanding the story that's being channeled through you. And how many times have we had an emotion that we can't really like all the way expressed? There's no real word for it, etc., etc. That's because God prefers to communicate through feelings and visions, and like as a last resort, it'll be words. So, again, really sit there, like swim in the energy for a moment, and know that you're always protected. Just sit in the energy and be like, how do I feel right now? Am I anxious? Do I feel empowered? Do I feel like I can stand up for myself? Or do I feel like this situation doesn't really require me to stand up for myself as much as it just requires my awareness of it, of what's going on, and like playing the game? Because like you can play the fool in order to get ahead, which is another way to read Fool and Strength. But again, you have to pay attention to how it feels. Um, Tarot reading is about empathy. It's not just about logic and worldly understanding. It is about empathy and the ability to really sit there and be emotionally intelligent and say, what am I feeling? So that's what I mean. As a practice, I put in an exercise question, and I want you guys to read for me. We'll just say me. Because I know in the group chat later after this class, we're going to pair up and read for each other. But just for now, for the sake, the example question I put, what are the energies of my love life right now? Like, so if you can, pull cards for it right now and then just tell me what it feels like. And I want you guys to pull as many cards as you want. Like, you can pull the whole deck if you feel like it, if that's what you want. But I mostly want you guys to read based on what you feel. Like, does it feel warm? Does it feel cold? Does it feel aggressive? Like, I want you guys to really allow the cards to speak to you, not just through words, but I want you guys to connect them by the way it feels to you. So, if you can, go ahead and read for me for now. And then we're going to do this as a group in the group chat later throughout the week because I too want to keep the group chat going. I also am going to pull cards. You got disconnected. Oh, okay. So, as an exercise question, I put, what are the energies of my love life right now? And I want you guys to pull cards for me. And I want you guys to read them fluently based on what you feel. The only reason I chose love life is because that's such a feely type of question. So I thought it would be the most easiest to work with. So just pull cards, as many as you want, and I want you guys to connect them with the overall feeling that the spread gives you. I just want to know the feeling it gives you. So pull as many cards as it takes for you to understand the overall feeling of it. I don't really need specific details unless something seems really urgent for me to know, then yeah, go ahead and tell me. But most of all, I want you guys to start connecting however many cards you get with an overarching feeling, because that feeling is what's really going to set the tone for the rest of the really reading between yourself and your clients. um so just pull a couple cards if you can for me, and just ask, what are the energies of Denise's love life right now, and tell me the feeling that you get. You can tell me the cards, and then, but I really want to know the feeling. Like, what does it feel like? Today is all about feelings because that's how you read fluently. You have to pay attention to what it feels like. That's so funny. I just got a download with the song This Is What It Feels Like by Armin van Buuren. It's like, this is what it feels like. That's so funny because that's exactly what I'm trying to go for here. I can feel somebody pulling cards. It's like tingly in my heart space, and I'm like, yes, take it. And then after this, we're gonna move on. I'm gonna pull cards too and see what I feel. The feeling feels like progress. I got 7 of Pentacles, Justice, 7 of Wands, the Sun. Okay, so the overall feeling that you got was progression, forward movement. Okay, good. I love that. I mean, I love that for me, but I love that was the way you chose to articulate the feeling. That's good. So now, if I were to ask a follow-up question, I feel like almost like you wanting to move forward but not knowing how. Girl, literally. Araceli, you read me to filth, girl. But yeah, you see, so Araceli chose moving forward, and then Sarah chose progression. So both of you got the same message, the same feeling. So now if I were to ask you guys a follow-up question, like I don't know, hang on 1 second. If I were to ask you guys a follow-up question like, what is preventing me? Like, what is preventing me from coming into a romantic union or something like that? Now you guys, now that you have the overall feeling of progression as the overall theme of the reading and the love reading, any subsequent question that comes after that, you guys will intuitively understand that it's about me making steady progress moving forward, because you already have that feeling. So any question that comes after that, it's going to give you the specific details. Yeah. So another way that I can, drill this topic home is, how many times have y'all pulled cards for your clients about a specific question, such as a love life reading, where you're like, how does my man feel about me? And then you pull cards and it's something totally unrelated. It's something totally unrelated where it's like, girl, you need to call your mom. She's worried about you, or something. Like, it's a totally unrelated message. Relax. When that happens, it doesn't mean you're a bad reader. It doesn't mean that your deck doesn't have discipline. What it means is that, again, your deck, your tarot deck spirit is always going to answer the most pressing concern first. So the first few cards that fall out, that is what's the overarching theme. So that's why I wanted you guys to just pull a couple cards and be like, what's the overall theme of Denise's love life right now? It's progress. So choosing to move forward in love with opportunities presented and stuff like that. So every card that comes out after that is going to fill in the specific details, and I'll prove it to you. I hope you guys kept the cards out, but if you didn't, that's okay. Pull again and ask the same question. What are the energies of Denise's love life right now? Now that we have the overall feeling, which was moving forward and progression, ask it again, and the tarot will get more and more detailed, more and more specific. It'll add more elements to the story. So, the most pressing concern, apparently, for me is moving forward with my whole chest. So now let's see the details. Let's get a little more specific. Let's get a little deeper. Ask the tarot the same questions, and I promise you, your deck will fill in the gaps. It'll keep going. And that, my friends, is why I have such a reputation on Twitter and in my reviews and stuff for dragging people, with love. It's because I answer the overall theme first, and then I keep digging. I'm like, where is this coming from? Like, where is this coming from? Where is this coming? And I keep asking the same question, and the tarot's like, all right, let's go off. So there you go. That's one of my secrets. Not really a secret, but it's one of my methods. Is I understand the first few cards coming out as the overall big picture, and sometimes that's enough for your client. They just need the big picture stuff. Other times they need more applicable specific knowledge. And that's when the tarot deck starts spitting out 5, 6, 7, 12 cards. And that's when you can really start pulling and understanding, why there's a hesitation or why there's over enthusiasm, etc., etc. So ask your deck again, what are the energies of Denise's love life right now, and see if it fills in the gaps for you now that we have the overarching feeling it gives you. I'm so excited. Not for the answer, but I'm excited to discuss how it comes out of you, like how the message comes together for you. Triggered. My deck just spat out the Knight of Swords. First of all, don't call me out. Meanwhile, I'm going to make sure that I have all my notes ready for the next part. And we're going to be doing this all week. And that's why I just want to take the time now to really teach the concept where it's like, all right, the first few cards are always going to be like the most pressing, urgent, broad themes. But if you insist and you're stubborn and you keep pulling for the same question, you can get deep. That's when I start getting like, girl, he's talking to a bitch named Brenda, and the last time he saw her was at Starbucks at 3:43 p.m. Like, because I keep digging on the same question. I'm a chismosa. This is what it feels like. I'm gonna do that for me now and see what happens. It seems like he was almost overpowering you in a way you never realized. Okay. I'm feeling like your energy is not really focused on love completely. It feels like you're trying to do other things related to spirituality, and that is your priority. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. All right, both of you are right. Yeah, I had a conversation with him yesterday and I was like, I don't know who you're talking I don't know who the fuck you think you're talking to, but you don't get to tell me what to do. And it was something really dumb, honestly. He was like, "Have you tried oat milk?" And I was like, "No, I haven't. I should." And he was like, "Okay, get the chocolate one." And I was like, "Well, I really want to like try the vanilla or like original flavor and then adventure into other ones." He was like, "No, get the chocolate one." I was like, "Bitch, fight me." Which seems like a really petty thing to do, but my Aries rising was like, "No, no, no. Don't tell me how to grocery shop." Um, so yeah, you're both right. And yeah, you're both right. I just that's why I was like, "Oh, like I'll do love energies because like that's such an easy feeling to pull from." But I mean, if we want to get really advanced, and we will in the group chat, so that we can really talk about and get more and more specific with this method of reading, we can do spirituality. I think that's a really, really good one to do. It's a little more cosmic, it's a little bigger, it's more unknown. Um, but I think that's where you can get the most tea is when you can start asking yourself, how can I be of better service to God? Or how can I develop and continue nurturing my relationship with God past this class, et cetera, et cetera. That's when the tea comes in because you'll get overarching things. And then if you keep pulling, everything that comes out after maybe like the first 3 or 4 cards is going to be specific practical details for you to actually apply those big themes. That's what I was trying to illustrate with this, love energy exercise, is that the overarching theme was progress, and then the specific details were my fear of being overpowered. I don't like that. And also love just not being a priority right now, where I'm more focused on my spiritual growth. I'm more focused on just my own thing. So you see how it we have the overall progression, and then we also have the specific details that make it practical. And that is how I'm going to go ahead and say this with my whole chest. That is how you become the most helpful tarot reader. I don't want to say the best, I don't want to say tarot legend, but you become the most helpful reader because you give them the overarching message, the overall themes and of growth that they need to learn, and the practical applications of this knowledge and how they can get there and achieve that energy for themselves. Woo. So that's how you read fluently. It helps to think of individual cards as sentences. It helps for the first few to think of the whole spread as paragraphs. It helps to think of um, the first couple cards that come out as the most pressing broad themes, as well as the most direct answers to the questions. And then, after I would say like 4 or 5 cards, that's when it just starts getting more and more specific and very tangibly practical, which is great. That's what we need. Um, yeah, so you guys are doing it. Yay! Okay. All right, so reading fluently. The next section is noting similarities. So, the easiest way to piece together the story is to begin by marking similarities in the spread. Are there many women depicted on the cards? Are the cards of the same suit? The same number? If you have the Eight of Swords, the Eight of Pentacles, etc., etc. Discuss these similarities and their implications. Take a moment to consider societal connotations of the symbols. If all the cards have women pictured on them, could your client be dealing with issues of the emotional nature, of receiving energy, like receiving money, etc., etc.? It's more about attracting than it is about going out to get it. Um, if all or several cards are numbered 8, perhaps your client is concerned with abundance, how to obtain it, or feeling very far away from it. The differences are just as important to take note of to help you fill in the details. When in absolute doubt, ask for a clarifier card or a bridge card to help you make the connections between the cards. I believe it was Sarah earlier that said that, one of her readings recently just didn't resonate. Things were foggy and elusive. Girl, be aware of the astrological movements because sometimes Neptune is just going to come rock your whole world and you're just not going to know anything, and that's okay. Just don't do readings that day if you can help it, or at least be aware of that. um so when things like that happen within a reading, ask for a bridge card. Like if you just absolutely don't feel confident bridging them together, you have an idea but not enough of an idea that you can say it with your whole chest and feel certain, ask for a bridge. Ask how is the Fool and the Strength card connected, and then pull a card. And then honestly, it shouldn't take you more than one card for it to really click in your brain. So if you have to, pull two, but um I think you'll just confuse yourself a little more. So just try to stick to one bridge card when it doesn't really make too much sense for you. um the most helpful tip is this: chances are you have seen your client's situation play out before. Again, you've seen it in movies, you've seen it in your own life, in your family, TV, etc. Use all of your resources to form a complete story. It doesn't have to be linear, but it does have to be comprehensive. Tarot at an elevated level requires that you unlearn or at least be willing to deviate from what you think you know of the cards. Again, paying attention to your feelings and your instincts will prove to be the difference between a great tarot reader and a passable one. That was a really nice way of me saying this is what separates the mediocre from the great tarot readers is the emotional awareness. The emotional awareness and the willingness to deviate far from the traditional meaning of the card. Because sometimes it's not the traditional meaning of the card that Spirit wants you to take a look at. Sometimes it's one singular element of the cards. Like I just pulled the Nine of Cups for myself just by splitting the deck. Sometimes it's not about the Nine of Cups um, as its traditional meaning. Sometimes it's about the chalice. Or sometimes it's about the man making a toast and it's trying to warn me of a premonition of pay attention to the guy making a toast at the nearest event. Whatever, you have to talk to him, you have to deliver a message or something. So sometimes, anywho, sorry, I got disconnected. Anywho, so sometimes it's really about a tiny specific element of the card that is the actual message, not the card. I just pulled another one for myself and it's the Ten of Pentacles. Um, which is really interesting because on my deck, both of these cards have rats on them. So maybe it's not about the traditional meaning of the cards as much as it's about the rat. So it's about luck, it's about stealth, it's about luck, and it's about moving in silence towards financial stability. And I learned that from just like intuitively right now. Like I like whoop. It just like came about. I just thought of a rat and I was like, well, what do? They move in silence, they get fed somehow. Like these rats fucking create opportunity out of nothing. Um, so that's what I mean. No, you have to be willing to deviate far from the traditional meaning. And the way to do that confidently, I have to reiterate this, is meditation. Being aware, being intelligent about what you feel as you pull cards. Because what you feel is going to be more certain than what you think. Remember, I said this at the beginning of our course. You have this amount of time. You have a tiny window of opportunity to trust your first instinct before you start getting scared and you're like, "Ooh, I don't know. I don't want to be that specific. I don't want to be wrong." Before your mind starts to cloud you. Um, so I'm just reiterating that. Pay attention to your feelings. Your feelings are not as easily manipulated as your mind is. Um, so yeah. Alrighty, now spreads. I personally don't use spreads like at all ever, but I understand the value of them, so I'm gonna talk about them. Um, when in doubt, you can always ask your deck for just one card per question to help you organize your thoughts. From there, you can ask for the details to be filled in via other cards. So, this time I want you guys to try to pull cards for yourselves. I want you guys to try to ask the tarot What does the rest of my month look like? What does the rest of September have in store for me? Or something of that general vicinity. That way you can apply the methods we just learned of learning fluently. Um, yeah. So I want you guys to ask, what does the rest of my month look like? What can I expect for the rest of my September, etc.? And I want you guys to ask for one card. Like, just ask your deck for one card and say, one card, what does the rest of September have for me? I'm gonna do it too because now I want to know. It's really funny. I don't feel the call to read for myself very often anymore. So I'm like, oh, I probably should have done this at the beginning of the month and I didn't. So, well, I'll do it now. Okay. One card, please. What does the rest of September have in store for me? One card. There's my card. I feel attacked. The Eight of Swords. I got the Eight of Swords. So it looks like September for me. And the feeling I get isn't even like impending doom. The feeling I get is aware, becoming aware of my limitations. You know what I mean? If I want to reach the avatar state, I have to really get real about myself, what I can and cannot do, what my strengths and weaknesses are, and how to complement those weaknesses rather than shame myself for having them. So with the Eight of Swords for me, I really feel it's breaking free of my limitations by accepting them and being aware of them and finding solutions to them. So it looks like I'm going to be feeling a little trapped for the rest of September, but at least I'm building awareness of my limitations within my human body. Because once the Akashic records hit me, let me tell you, I did get real lost in the spirit world. So now I feel like God's like, yes, mama, but you're still human. You still have to eat. You still need shelter, etc., etc. Don't just yeet out of your body because you have to come back to it. So this September is humbling the fuck out of me, apparently. So pull a card for yourselves, and now actually I'm gonna keep that out. So now that I've pulled a card for the rest of my September, now you can fill in the details. So overall, I'm gonna feel a little, trapped. Now let's do a spread, and you can do any spread that you want, but continue training your deck one card. And this method really helps when your client or even you are super anxious, when they're desperate, when they're like, oh my God, is he going to come back? We just broke up. I'm freaking out. Or I just lost my job unexpectedly. I'm freaking out. Your deck is going to pick up on that energy and it's going to be messy and you're going to have a hard time shuffling. So when that happens, take a moment like this to calm down and ask for one card for one area of life, whether it's love and romance, career, money, etc., and help build your thoughts off of it. Think of it as a pyramid. So the first card you pull out, again, overarching theme, and then the next card you pull out is one area of the pyramid versus the next, the next, and then once you have that, the next layer can be advice. How do I get there? What do I need to release? Etc., etc. And that way it becomes a comprehensive reading and it becomes esoteric. Like it becomes like at a spiritual shadow work level, but it also has tangible applications and consequences. Um, and you get more and more certain the more you do it. So I'm going to go ahead and keep going with this spread. Okay, so that's my overall theme. Um, what do what does the rest of September have for me in terms of work? Please give me one card. Please give me one card. Energies of work for September. This is it. So I got the Three of Wands. What does September have in store for me as far as love and romance goes? One card, please. I just want one card. Oh, did y'all see that? Ooh, my love and romance sounds like super lit. Okay. And I mean, is there let's do spiritually too. Um, please give me one card. What does the rest of September have in store for me spiritually? There it is. Okay. So I got the Three of Wands, the Nine of Cups, and the Fool. So for work, steady forward motion. It looks like I'm going to be getting some invitation. I'm not going to say to travel. It might be for travel, but for me it feels like more like more like my predictions coming true actually. So this is a little like hyper specific for me, but it seems like a lot of my premonitions I'm going to start seeing them play out. So I'm not crazy. Wow, that's exciting. Okay. Love and romance, I got the Nine of Cups. So my wish is here. My wish has come true. So that's exciting. And then spiritually, I got the Fool. So it's all about maybe moving away from thinking I know everything and being willing to accept even bigger concepts than the ones I hold right now, and being able to step into the unknown. Now you can keep going for tangible applications. So, what one card, please? What advice do you have for me for the rest of September for work? How can I maximize the opportunities coming to me this month? One card, please. How can I maximize the energies of love and romance for September? One card, please. And spiritually, how can I maximize the energies of September with one card, please? Oh, there she is. Okay, so this is where we get into practical, tangible, real life help. You know what I mean? Because the rest of this has been just kind of not really specific, very like overarching things, but now we're getting into specifics because it's all based on the same question, which is September. What does September have in store for me? You see how we went from overarching thing of like being aware of my limitations to specific messages for work, love, and spirituality, and now what the fuck I'm supposed to do. How can I best take advantage of these energies? So for work, I got strength. It's time for me to be more authoritative. It's time for me to be like, fuck you, I have to eat. I'm not like I'm tired of people harassing me. I'm just gonna do the thing. Because people have been so mean to me online lately for real. And I'm just like, can y'all go away? But I guess I'm gonna have to start flexing. I'm gonna have to start duking it out, fighting back. So stay tuned for that because that'll be entertaining. For love and romance, the Hierophant. The feeling I'm getting is not necessarily tradition as much as it is moving away from tradition. So maybe this relationship that I'm heading towards is really making me question whether a traditional monogamous relationship is something that I want. Do I value security or do I value passion more? So that's something that I definitely have to consider and definitely make a decision on. And then for spirituality, I got the Empress. I can harness the energies of the Fool by knowing that I'm a sovereign woman, no matter what, that I am safe and that I am strong and I am strong enough to be compassionate and vulnerable in every moment. So there's nothing to be afraid of. Any hoodles. So that was my spread. I highly, like I said, I don't use spreads regularly, but when I can feel a person being really hurt, being really anxious, or just kind of chaotic a little bit, it really helps to do one card and then work your way into bigger, deeper, more tangible and practical applications of it. And it's also just really helpful for you, the reader, to not have to take on all of that chaotic energy from another person. Because sometimes my head is spinning from a person's energy, so it's a way to keep yourself grounded and a way to help ground the energy of your client is to just go through spreads. So you don't have to use it all the time, but just be mindful that this is another method for you to, I don't even want to say baby step because I don't want you guys to shame yourself, but to just kind of slowly and more practically go about a reading rather than just going willy-nilly just because somebody's rushing you. Don't let your clients rush you. Don't let their energy corrupt the certainty of your intuition. Don't take it as low and as certain as you need. Break it down into multiple steps if it helps you read more fluently, if it helps you create a more comprehensive message, because this is what this class is about. It's about comprehensive, fluent messages. It's always helpful to have an overarching theme and then fill in the specifics. Um, the last bit that I want to do is I have to reiterate this since this is the last class, is stop overthinking. And I know it sounds silly, but it's just the big cold truth is that we are all chronic overthinkers because we live in a capitalistic society. So please don't overthink, especially in moments when you're supposed to feel. Some tarot readings are going to be very mental. It's going to be very direct. Is this person for me? Yes or no? Boom, you can pull a card and give them a straight answer. Others are going to be, they're going to require you to be very emotionally intelligent. And those are going to be shadow work readings. Those are going to be, how can I heal type of questions. And those are going to require you to step outside of your mind a little bit and more into your feelings and really understand, how can I get better? How can I create a comprehensive message for my client that will elevate her to her next best self? How can I create the most helpful message for my client, etc.? Because remember, it's not about being the best tarot reader. It's about being the most present and the most helpful for your client in the moment. You are the best tarot reader if every client that comes to you leaves a better person or leaves with more clarity than when they first got there. So again, don't overthink, don't set your expectations, unrealistically. It's more about being the most helpful, and sometimes, most of the time, it's about understanding how the cards feel and what that means in relation to what your client feels. If you in the past have struggled connecting the cards together when they just fly out and fall whichever way they want to, rather than thinking about it and rather than trying to logically find a way to jump from one card to the other and connect it back to the question, just sit there and feel your way through. I promise that will be a much smoother process than sitting there forcing your mind to come up with an answer, because sometimes your mind is just not the right tool to connect the messages. Sometimes it really has to come from a deep gut level, and you have to sit there and don't allow your client to rush. Most of the time, like not most of the time, but like a lot of times, I would tell my client, be like, hang on, give me a second to just sit here and feel what I need to feel. And then I'll sit there in complete fucking silence for like a full 5 minutes. And then I'm like, I understand. Boom, boom. And then it's touch and go after that. But you're really robbing yourself and your client of the full into of the full full of the full intuitive experience when you don't allow yourself the time to sit and simmer in the energy. And that's what discernment is to be able to sit there, simmer in the energy and say, okay, now I get it. Now I feel certain of what's going on. Now I can deliver this reading completely confidently and fluently. But as you have unrealistic expectations to perform a certain way, that's when you block your own blessings. You clog yourself up. It's so much more productive to just take a few minutes of silence and say, "Hang on, let me get in my emotions. Let me get in my feelings right now because my head is just not doing it. That means it's not the right tool for me to deliver this answer. So let me try something else." And if you can't get it the first time, always try something else. Sometimes it's going to be the opposite. Sometimes it's going to be like, maybe it's not about what I'm feeling. It's about making connections. It's about things clicking. It's about direct answers. And that's perfectly okay as well. Um, any hoodles. So those were the only messages I had left as far as reading fluently. Mostly from the methods described, what I want to really emphasize is reading fluently is about reading with your emotions. So even if you drop, 4 or 5 cards, if they all dropped face down, you could still read the spread because you can tell what it feels like, even if they are all face down, which is a challenge that I'm going to put on the group chat. I want you guys to pull cards face down, and before you turn them over, I want you to take note. Not answer a question or anything like that. I just want you to note, to just be aware of the feeling that you get even without seeing the imagery of the card. That's what I want from you guys. I want you guys to just get really, really good and really, really speedy and really, really confident at understanding the raw emotion that comes from you, whether you know what's on the card or not. I need you guys to get good, to be receptive, to be aware of the feeling, which is why, again, I use that love question because, love is a feeling. It is what it is. So that's something that we're going to do in the group chat as well. And again, meditate, meditate, meditate. This is the last class, so I'm going to go ahead and use this time to just drill it into your heads. Meditate, meditate, meditate so that it gives you a relative point to measure from. You can't know what feelings and what thoughts are yours versus your tarot versus spirit if you don't have a grounded center, if you don't have a relative point to measure from or deviate from, etc., etc., etc. So please meditate. Do not overthink. There is no such thing as overfeeling your spread. So when in doubt, feel your way through, because chances are you're overthinking, you're getting a little too hype, you're digging too deep, and it's a really simple answer that you're looking for. So just sit there, allow yourself the time, the space, the silence to fully feel your way through a message and then deliver it to your client. Your client is never going to be mad at you for needing a little more time. They're going to be completely satisfied with the fact that you were present enough to take some time to sit there and drop into your heart space and then be able to deliver the information with complete confidence. That is, they will trust you more because you took the time. You didn't rush through it. You said, hang on, let me be aware enough of myself as a reader to really sit here and understand this from a heart space, not from what I can tell you from what I know about these cards. So that's mostly what I want to reiterate here. And that's it. That's the last class. Reading fluently is it's really easy compared to all of the other concepts that we've discussed in the intermediate level, which is why I saved it for last. By the time you get to reading fluently, it's so much easier once you have learned the trust and surrender, the deeper interpretation, etc., etc. Um, so I saved it for last so that we could end on a really light but still productive note. So what I am going to do now is I'm going to keep the group chat going, and I'm going to definitely drop some prompts. I'm going to drop some challenges. I know not everybody can make it to the class today, but that's okay because as the week goes on, I want you guys to really, really practice this because with this singular mastery of emotional awareness within a reading, you can go far. You can go far with tarot reading if you can just master this one thing. If you can master the concepts in this one, hour long class, I promise you it'll take you further than you can even fathom right now. Not just in tarot, but within life as well. To get quick at deciphering what you feel the moment you feel it, that will change your life. It will change everything for you. It'll change your relationships. It'll change everything for the better because you'll be so aware, so hyper aware that it'll be impossible for you to be emotionally manipulated, even when you want to be emotionally manipulated, even when you want to emotionally manipulate yourself, it won't happen. So that is 100% something I truly believe in. I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is. And I really want you guys to be consistent. Be consistent, try it, and trust yourself because your feeling won't take you anywhere that it's not meant to be. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop those prompts in the group chat. Um, I'm not gonna pair you guys off right away because I want to give everybody a chance to catch up to this last lesson first, and then once everybody has watched it and once the face down prompts have been answered, then I'm going to pair you guys up and then we can read for each other. I think we have an even number, but if we don't, I'm happy to jump in as somebody's partner as well. But anyway, that's the last class, something that is relatively more easy than the rest of the material. But um, like I said, once you master that quick emotional awareness, your life changes. Your whole relationship to yourself changes. So tarot is a wonderful tool to help us practice that and to get better, to get quicker, to get more certain of the way our emotional environment changes based on a card, based on a sound, based on something someone says, the way a person walks into a room. Like, girl, your intuition will pop off once you really get good at discerning those feelings. Um, so discerning your thoughts, meditation, discerning your feelings, meditation. Like, I'm gonna stress it because it's the tail end of the class and I have to. Meditation, meditation, meditation. Um, anyway, so that's it. Y'all are graduated. That's the last class. All y'all got to do now is please practice, practice, practice. I will be emailing like the list of videos for the intermediate class. I think I can create a private playlist. So if I can, I will do that and I'll email you guys the link. That way you have them all cohesively and then they're yours forever. Honor system, please don't share these links with people that, didn't sign up for the class. Not because I'm stingy, but because y'all paid for it. So don't give this information for free. Y'all invested in this. So, please keep it to yourselves. If you can, invite others that you know to come into this class if you found value in it. And let me know. Let me know how this is all progressing for you, especially this last one. Getting quick at identifying your feelings. Mwah. Chef's kiss. That is my favorite part. Um, but yeah, other than that, it was a pleasure teaching you guys. Um, I'm very grateful for the opportunity to teach and to teach to people that are so receptive and so hungry to better themselves, to better their craft, and to change the world with their readings, to just be helpful to one person and inspiring them to be helpful to other people. that is how the world changes. That is how the consciousness of the world shifts into one of togetherness and fairness and love. So I really believe in that. And I'm very thankful for that and for all of you guys. And yeah, let's get this bread. Let's get these tarot spreads and these challenges done. And hopefully, you guys get really, really good by the end of the week. So take care. I'm peacing out for the final time. Um, but yeah, you guys did great. I'm so happy for you guys and everybody that made it here and this far. Araceli, this was such an amazing experience. Thank you so much for doing this. You hold such a special place in our heart. I hope so, girl. Like, as long as I can inspire you to get a little closer to God via tarot, via prayer, whatever it is, that is my only, like, that just instant gratification. Like, that's all I want is for everyone to feel the inner peace that I feel when I talk to spirit. So, that is my whole intention with bringing this class is for you who are already past the beginning stages of tarot. I want to inspire you guys to take yourselves a little more further and be of higher service to your clients. Inspire them to get closer to spirit. That's really what I want for you guys. And I want you guys to be abundant. I want you guys to make money, to, accept payment for your readings. Make sure that you're being appropriately compensated for this energy work. So I want that. I want abundance for you, and I want your clients to feel inspired and empowered to live a life that integrates spirit. um so thank you, Araceli. Thank you everybody that's here for helping me do that, for helping me get a little closer to my purpose. And yeah, all right, take care before I start crying. So I'm gonna go now. Bye. I love you. Mucho, mucho amor.